Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the first episode of Flocast powered by Salesflo. Well, Flocast एक पॉडकास्ट की सीरीज है जिसमें आप देख रहे होंगे हर एपिसोड में डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्रीज से हम एक्सपर्ट्स को बुला रहे होंगे पाकिस्तान की इंडस्ट्रीज which are doing well, which are perhaps not doing that well, लेकिन हम बात करेंगे उनके डायनामिक्स के हवाले से and how things are changing there and what role is technology playing specifically in this development. My name is Adeel Azhar and I'm going to be your host. मैं आपका होऊंगा होस्ट इस पूरी पॉडकास्ट की सीरीज में और this is the first episode of course and we promised you a number of excellent discussions. So अगर आपको उस इंडस्ट्री के बारे में in depth जानना है so you have clicked on the right link. So let's start the first episode of Flowcast और आज जिस इंडस्ट्री से हम अपने इस सीरीज का आगाज कर रहे हैं that is something that touches most of us, almost all of us, but no, not exactly in Pakistan. In fact, one of the biggest challenge of this industry और जिस टॉपिक पे हम बात करने वाले हैं वो यही है कि how to make sure that you go out there and touch all those people that you are already not in touch with. I've been using this word a lot, लेकिन बहरहाल we're talking about the banking sector. मेरे साथ जो इस वक्त इस पॉडकास्ट की फर्स्ट एपिसोड में मौजूद हैं Naazer Minhaj, who is the sales head for innovation and financial inclusion at HBL, और उनके साथ बैठे हुए हैं Zohair Saif, who is the head of innovation at UBL. So HBL and UBL. Gentlemen, welcome to Flowcast.
Thank you so much.
और सबसे पहले तो thank you for taking out time and I'm pretty sure कि we are on for a very interesting discussion यहाँ पे because working for Naazer, I start with you. I mean working for a big bank, the biggest in Pakistan और HBL तो ऐसा है कि जिसका नाम ज़ाहिर जुड़ा हुआ है पाकिस्तान की तारीख के साथ, हिस्ट्री के साथ और आप वहाँ पे innovations भी हेड कर रहे हैं, financial inclusion भी हेड कर रहे हैं. How easy for it कि एक इतना बड़ा कन्वेंशनल बैंक, एक ब्रिक एंड मोर्टार बैंक, उसकी ये ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, बिकॉज मैंने HBL के बारे में आपसे कुछ अर्से पहले, मे बी इट वाज सम सीनियर ऑफिशियल देयर इन द कंपनी, दे सेड दैट यू वांट टू बिकम अ टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी दैट डज बैंकिंग. आई डोंट नो इफ आई रिकॉल दैट करेक्टली और नॉट, बट how challenging this switch over has been.
You're absolutely right. I think for the bank, the ethos has always been be a technology company with a banking license.
Right.
That is what the president and CEO Aurangzeb has been pushing ever since he's joined. I think, when you look at it from in terms of a conventional bank and that switch or that tipping point to driving that digital transformation, the scale that the bank has actually propels that. So for me, it's not a challenge. In terms of a lot of things that we're able to do, a smaller entity would not be able to do. I mean, we've obviously got deeper pockets. We've obviously got that drive. The challenge is evangelization. All right, both internally and externally.
Evangelization, अगर आप explain कर सकें.
Okay, evangelization, I would mean owning that particular, let's say, direction. Okay, that you will continue to leverage technology in everything that you do. So you got that traditional bank that continues to do the paper filling for account opening, but evangelizing that you can do it digitally.
Okay.
And then since we're so large, there's so many standalone parts of the bank that could be a standalone entity on its own, getting that ownership to come in. Okay, so that's the evangelization part.
All right.
Once that happens, then the scale allows you to propel and break down barriers so much quicker.
Zohair, let me come to you. और UBL को हम मुझे याद है कि जब पाकिस्तान में ये जो पहली बार हमने ब्रांचलेस बैंकिंग का जिक्र करना शुरू किया था, UBL Omni became pretty active. I think मेरा ये ख्याल है, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. But पहली पाकिस्तान में मेजर जो कैंपेन आफ्टर इजी पैसा हुई थी, that was UBL Omni. We have moved out of the branch and all. मैं Omni के हवाले से स्पेसिफिकली बात नहीं करना चाहूँगा, लेकिन क्या बैंक्स के लिए for a conventional bank, see, if you don't go into digitization, you would still make a lot of money because the corporate banking and then UBL is a corporate investment banking powerhouse in Pakistan. Yes, they've done very good in retail in the past maybe 15 years or so, but उससे पहले it's been all there. ये क्या मजबूरी थी जाना या ये choice थी for a bank like UBL? Innovation, you had the innovation there.
So I think it's the general evolution of a bank to actually go into that path. और अगर आप UBL का DNA देखें, and this is way before even I was born, right? The bank's been there for good 60-70 years. In fact, 75 years to the year. it's fantastic कि जिस तरह से वो टेक्नोलॉजी को इनेबल कर रहा है और उसके साथ वो प्रोडक्ट्स सर्विसेज एक्सेसिबिलिटी वो क्रिएट कर रहा है. Omni is a great example, right? To be a major bank in the country and then have a branchless sort of a concept being bought in when nobody else as a bank had thought about it at that stage, or rather may have thought about it, but to execute it
at that
to
scale.
success, right? And then that concept became a major sort of a opportunity for us, where technology started driving enablements from payments and how fast can you onboard a biller merchant or utility, and how fast can you get people to transfer and exchange funds. So that was one part of how sort of UBL was already seeing itself drive a digital into the digital space. दूसरा जो उसका element है, given my sort of regional and global experience, I've actually seen every bank from being a brick and mortar transform itself. तो आप DBS को उठा लें, आप BBVA, Santander, Barclays, किसी को भी आप उठा लें, Middle Eastern banks उठा लें. The role of banking will remain the same, but the way that banking is done, the way that banking is conceived and thought of as, that will evolve, and that you clearly see evolving, right? नाज़र ने बड़ी ज़बरदस्त बात करी कि किस तरह से कोविड के दौरान आप एक enablement करना for millions and millions of Pakistanis to receive cash. वो I think COVID actually accelerated that digital banking.
Right.
की जो speed है in banks, and what has happened is when the large stable and established banks who, I mean, even if they didn't need to, they could still make money, right?
Right.
It could be a technology project for that matter, but they didn't consider this as a technology project, right? जब UBL करने लगा इस तरह से डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन की तरफ जाने लगा, HBL कर रहा है, बाकी बैंक्स करने लगे. So every small medium sized entity started saying, it's possible, it is easy, it's accessible. Technology is no longer inaccessible to people. Someone, somewhere, someplace has done something already that you're already thinking
use
about.
Case आपके पास
Use cases हैं. Now, the beauty is how do you localize that use case in Pakistan to localize that to the audience, to the people who are developing it and designing it. वो पहले समझते हैं कि किस तरह से इसको, अगर वो ईस्टर्न यूरोप में अगर वो यूज केस हो चुका है तो क्या पाकिस्तान में भी वो यूज केस एप्लीकेबल है या नहीं है. And that's the beauty of large banks like I would say HBL and UBL, right? Okay, they have the patience and tolerance level to invest, to have a very long term view. It's not a knee jerk reaction or a project reaction कि जी एक साल का project इसमें budget किया तो हो गया नहीं हुआ then you roll it back. No, it's a journey, and it has to be a journey. So this is how I would say in at least in the way that I see it, this is how we are evolving, and we are moving towards that journey from branches.
Coming back to my question, it had to happen. I mean, it's not a matter of choice because ये तो एक सिलसिला चल पड़ा है.
The choice would have been not to accept it.
Yeah.
To to not see where everyone's headed and where the world is headed, and say, you know what, no, I don't think we need to do it.
Right. So वो जो पाकिस्तान को हमेशा एक जब भी हम पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट की बात करते हैं तो उसमें बताया जाता है कि बहुत बड़ी अनबैक्ड पॉपुलेशन है. और बल्कि कमिंग बैक टू द थिंग, आप दोनों ने कोविड के मैटर को टच किया. कोविड वाज अ मेजर डिसरप्शन इन द फाइनेंशियल इंडस्ट्री, इनफैक्ट इन एवरी इंडस्ट्री. लेकिन अगर मैं एक बात जानना चाहूँगा कि एक स्पाइक तो आया, डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन, एवरीबॉडी वाज सिटिंग ऑन द मोबाइल ऐप एंड फलाना. ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ कि कोविड काफी हद तक खत्म होने के बाद, नॉर्मलसी रिटर्न होने के बाद, पीपल हैव गॉन बैक टू द ओल्ड हैबिट्स? मसलन जैसे इंडिया में डीमोनेटाइजेशन जब हुई थी, वी सॉ कि जी वो पेटीएम और रूपे एंड ऑल दे ऑल बिकेम बिग, बट हमने ये देखा कि इवेंचुअली पीपल मूव बैक टू द सेम ओल्ड हैबिट कि कैश इज द किंग. बट डू यू थिंक दैट द चेंज जो कोविड के बाद आया, नाज़र, लेट मी पुट इट टू यू फर्स्ट, it is a permanent change?
it is permanent. It sustained itself.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. You look at branch के ऊपर traffic at one time, utility bill payments.
Right.
बेतहाशा लोग सर पे खड़े हुए हैं, waiting in lines to pay utility bills. Right?
Right.
That doesn't happen anymore. I mean, the number of bills that are now being paid on your handheld or now are being paid at stores is 4 to 5 times as much as that the same number of bills being paid at the branch. I think what has slowed down is maybe the growth on it. Okay, so if we grew, let's say 200% in COVID times, we're now growing at 5-8% month on month, or maybe 2% month on month. So the growth numbers have slowed down, but that baseline has established itself.
But the continuous and sustained increase in digital transactions is, in our case, it's triple digits, right? Year on year. दूसरी जो चीज़ है वो ये समझने की ज़रूरत है कि पाकिस्तान की जो मार्केट है, it no longer now considers कि banking is out of their reach. I think the biggest misconception was banks को समझा जाता था वहाँ पे तो सिर्फ वो लोग जाते हैं जिनका पैसा है, जिनके पास पैसा है. Banks were never considered by the general masses to be a payment platform, an exchange platform. कि हाँ जी यहाँ से एक्सचेंज भी हो सकता है, ठीक है. वो बिल जमा होते हैं, वो कलेक्शन होते हैं, क्योंकि कराची इलेक्ट्रिक की ऑफिस भी जाके मैं बिल जमा करा सकता हूँ, या मैं उस एक ऑफिस जाऊँ, या इतनी सारी ब्रांचें इसकी UBL की ब्रांच पे चला गया, एलाइट की ब्रांच पे चला गया, HBL की ब्रांच पे चला गया. आई थिंक दैट एक्सेसिबिलिटी एंड दैट एजुकेशन अबाउट दैट एक्सेसिबिलिटी has really taken Pakistan by storm.
Now let's talk about a pretty interesting topic, which is all these new startups that are coming up, those digital financial companies and all. And एक ज़माना पे ऐसा आता था कि हर एक महीने बाद सुनते थे कि फलाना कंपनी आ गई है जी, उनके कहते हैं जी हम 8 मिलियन कार्ड इशू कर देंगे और 25 मिलियन कार्ड इशू कर देंगे. आई डोंट नो. सो नंबर वन, आप दोनों से मैं पूछूंगा, स्टार्टिंग विद यू Zohair. How serious do you take these new age, I would say, these digital financial companies? के ये वाकई they are out there. One, are they really out there to disrupt the model? And point number two, now that few of them have been around for a year and a half, are they really disrupting the conventional banking model?
So Adeel, अगर disrupt नहीं करते तो we wouldn't be talking about them right now, right? So yes, they're here. Their form and factor may change over time,
right?
But I'm glad that they're here. And the reason why I'm glad that they're here is because it allows us different opportunities to find collaboration to work with. You know, हमारा जो, at least from my personal experience, I can say that we try and co-create products and services. We want to design customer experiences, right? ये बहुत ही fancy word or statement लगती है, but we are true to that. आपको लगता है कि हम ऐप बना दी और ऐप के ऊपर कोई प्रोडक्ट हमने enable कर दिया, feature enable कर दिया. But there is somebody out there who's doing a much better job, much simpler job of how a conventional bank is doing. And because if somebody else is able to do it, it allows you to then have conversations inside the bank to say, look, they're able to do it. Their cost of doing it is much lower. And why don't we work with them? Or if not, why don't we shamelessly copy something that somebody's done, right? Yeah. And there's no shame in doing it, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, right, someone somewhere someplace has already done that. दूसरी जो aspect है वो ये है कि it has credibly allowed Pakistan to retain a lot of its talent, right? जो कि मेरे टाइम पे, and that might make me sound very old, but it's a fact. I myself went outside Pakistan to prosper, to find opportunities in banking that I wasn't going to get that exposure within Pakistan, right? And I now see a lot of young guys and girls staying back and working with these fintechs.
Naazer, I'd like to add to what Zohair is saying. I mean, one, ek to iska answer is really selfless. And I totally agree with it. So but I have to wear my sales hat in terms of share of market and cards and things in there, etc. Right? So 2 or 3 points I want to touch upon, right? So as of today, HBL Branches Banking is the largest PayPark debit card issuer in the country. Okay. We've issued 1 million plus cards over a period of 11-12 months.
For our audience's understanding, PayPark is
the local scheme.
Is the local scheme. The one link Pakistan में जो भी एक लेकर
like Mastercard and
Visa and Mastercard, and the Pakistani brand is PayPark.
Right? And that's the default setting for a debit card to be issued in the country. Right? We've issued 1 million plus. It's the largest issuer out there. But then it is our ability with our branchless banking, feet on the ground, our government mandates that we've been able to leverage to get issue and subscribe to those cards, right? We've also then built the rails around the agriculture part, right? So example, the Kisan card subsidy. The largest employer is country mein by default service ke andar agriculture.
Yeah,
Not a formalized employer, but that's where people are employed, right? They get a subsidy from the government. So the million debit cards that we've issued, a large component has gone out there. Maybe these EMI and the Sada Pays and Naya Pays won't have the ability to do it, right?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, that's what.
absolutely.
Okay? But it brings me to an even more interesting point. We do the PayPark one. It's got a constraint on it. Okay, it's not a digital card. It doesn't allow you to make e-commerce purchases and stuff. And there's that entire bit where, let's say, Naya Pay is leveraging all of that. So it's spurring us now to get with a Master or a Visa digital card, so that we start enabling that particular segment of the society as well, right? Okay, so that's one element to it. The other is, I used to work for a firm called S.C. Johnson, and Salman Amin, who was the global CEO at one time there, he said that the quickest way to grow might not be organically. It's either a JV or an acquisition. So why would we close out to this competition? We should, and we are working with them, right? A Naya Pay account right now can only be topped up or cashed in using our payment rails. It's either a UBL, HBL payment rail. So it's not independent, right? You can't go in and put cash into a Naya Pay account without using banking rails. So we continue to maybe play a paternal role or a joint venture role with all of them as well, right? And I think that's where, and competition is always great. It spurs you on to do a lot more, right?
Cheek. Last questions to you guys, or Zohair, coming to you. You're looking after the innovation side at this major bank, and हमने शुरू में I touched upon the UBL Omni part, and Omni started with a bang and all. We saw that very attractive orange color everywhere and all, but suddenly then we realized that it's not there in the landscape now. Jazz has become very, very easy. Paisa has been around. HPL Connectors has done a great job. What happened to Omni and what are the plans now?
अच्छा, ये बड़ा आपने जबरदस्त सवाल किया है. इसके multiple जवाब हो सकते हैं, but let's talk about what I can answer here, right? So Omni is still there, very much there. In fact, Omni is transforming, right? It is going through a major transformation over the past couple of years, I would say, to evolve into a platform enablement, right? And I think that's also going to be the future for banking itself. Okay, bank का नाम जरूरी नहीं कि आगे up front हो.
ठीक है.
बैंक की रेल्स जो नाज़र ने भी बात करी कि पेमेंट्स कैसे पहुंचानी है, कैसे पास ऑन करनी है वो. So Omni is going through multiple partnerships as well. We are enabling a lot of agents, a lot of connectivities are being set up. Omni का जो product line है वो भी reimagine हो रही है.
All right.
And you've got to do that. It's been good 8-9 years. तो उसमें तो आपको anyways गाड़ी के 3 मॉडल आ जाते हैं, right?
And everybody loses in that.
And we don't want to get into a price war.
Omni 2.0 would be different.
So we're looking at Omni 3.0. Omni 2.0 was already there. So Omni 3.0 is what we are reimagining, and that reimagination is through partnerships, through collaborations.
Great.
Why do everything in house? Is our approach for the next couple of years. कि किस तरह से इसको सेल्फ सस्टेनेबल वो मॉडल बनाए, प्लेटफॉर्म और टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज करते हैं.
That is great. Well, that was a very interesting discussion. और कोशिश हमने ये की कि हमारे साथ नाज़िर और ज़ोहैर मौजूद थे from HBL and UBL respectively, और कोशिश ये की कि आपको जरा इनका पर्सपेक्टिव दिखाएं कि जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल चेंजेस इतनी ज्यादा आ रही हैं, इतनी सारी मोबाइल एप्स एंड एवरीथिंग. Naturally, I would have gone on and talked about their respective mobile apps as well, because I'm a user of both these apps, and अभी शो से पहले भी मैं बड़ी तारीफ कर रहा था कि doing a great job. So एक वहाँ पे भी mindset बड़ा change आया है, but maybe for some other time. लेकिन अभी के लिए, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
And it was a great discussion. I'm sure good learning for everyone who watched this first episode of Salesflo podcast. अगली एपिसोड के साथ आपका मेजबान अदील अजहर एक बार फिर से आपकी खिदमत में हाजिर होगा. Till then, goodbye and God bless.